We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. So I want to talk about how do we handle the rough times? How do we handle the rough seasons? What are we doing for that? Are we actually practicing what we learned during the good times in the rough times? I bring that up because my oldest son this week, from another relationship, was going through some things. And it started making him question himself in other places. It started attacking him in other places. And when he was asking me certain questions that he was like, man, this makes me feel like this now when this happened like this. And I was like, nah, don't let it do that though. I said, that has nothing to do with this. But also, now is the time you're being tested to see if what you learn you can use in this to keep yourself in that strong mental mind frame and to overcome these things. Because it's easy to feel good about yourself. It's easy to feel like everything's okay when everything is going okay, right? It's easy to find the tools for it. It's easy to see the tools for it. It's easy to see how it could work when you don't use it, when you're just learning it, like going to school. You learn all this stuff about chemistry. You learn all this stuff about finances. You learn all this stuff about medical, right? It's easy, like, oh, this, and go like this, right? It's book, right? It's book terminology. It's a book process, like, right? But when you go into the real world, that's not what it is. It doesn't come out like that. It may come out in specs, and you got to put it together differently, and you got to find this and find that. You know, it's different when you studying it and when you actually experiencing it. So I was telling him, I'm like, you didn't lose any of that about yourself and who you are. And you learned tools when everything was good that made you even feel better about yourself. So you got to use those same tools now. And he was like, man, that's true. But I was also looking at him and I'm like, he don't see, because he's so far into his head over, thinking about this. When you go through things, you start thinking a lot, overthinking sometimes as well, right? And I was looking at him like, man, his response to the situation was crazy to me, because I'm like, at that age, I'd have been like, what? I would have been, I'd have been a fool with it. You know what I'm saying? I'd have been acting a donkey. You heard? I'd have been reckless with it. You heard? Like, seriously. And his response to how he was moving, I was like, man, this kid is very mature for his age, man. He's acting really mature for his age. Me as a man seeing this young man, I'm like, I had to tell him, like, you're really mature for your age. You can't see these things though when you're going through it. When you have all this stuff going on and all these thoughts and all these things that's happening to you. You can't see it through it, But he wasn't digging his hole deeper. He had a hole he was in, but he wasn't digging it deeper. He was finding a way to make stairs with a rock to get out. And I saw that, but he, because he's so overwhelmed with it, he couldn't see it. But I saw him doing it, which I was super proud. Because me and my son as well haven't had the greatest of relationships of him growing up, because it was separate homes, so disagreements occurs. And it falls on the child a lot. You know what I mean? If I'm right or she's wrong or I'm wrong, whichever the case is, it falls on the child, But why our relationship is good today and how it's good now is because, again, what I learned from my situation with my mother and father not being together, right? And at first, what I did was, when I got into that situation, I forgot what I felt and what I wanted to happen when I was a kid, and it was happening to me. And I wasn't getting what I needed, and I was missing out. And everybody else was worried about their thing more insane as me, but their emotions and their mind and everything and their pride and ego was amplified more than really me, on them not wanting to deal with certain things more than me. I didn't realize I was falling into that same play. And then when I realized it, I was like, nah, that's not how I gotta respond. I can't respond to my son like he lives with me every day. I can't respond to him in a certain manner right now because he is pulled in two different places. His mind, his heart, his beliefs, a lot of things is pulled. So I gotta take my time, allow him to be him, and let him see I support him being him, and that's what I want to be here for, to be your support system, And when I realized, I put back in now in a situation that wasn't great, and I turned on and remembered when I was going through it, how I could have made it great and how I got through it. And I'm like, oh, and what I needed, and I'm like, that's what he needed. He needed that support system. He needed somebody to have his back, right? And I started doing that, and it changed our relationship, our dynamics. Just call me, yo, Pops, what's up? What you doing? Pops, I'm gonna come through, whatever. I'm gonna come see my little bro, my little sister. What you doing? You know what I'm saying? Our dynamics, he just called me just to talk, right? We would just hang out, right? Just be cool, because I started remembering, instead of being in that funk of saying, man, I have a child with another woman I'm not with, and all this stuff is happening, all these stereotypical ways it's going down. I stopped seeing it that way, and it got better. I saw it in the way that when I was going through what I could use and those tools for me being a child, what I went through, and I used that instead, and it made it better, our relationship. Just like my son realizing, oh man, no, I gotta use the tools that I learned when everything was good before and how to put it in play now to make it better. So I think a lot of times we go through things for a long time when we don't need to, because we have the tools there. It's just for us to kind of settle ourselves, settle our minds, and realize it and see it and go, man, what was I thinking when everything was all good? What was I doing when everything was all good before this thing happened? Whatever attack that might be, financially, emotionally, mentally, physically, what was I doing to keep my mind up, to keep my spirits up? I need to continue that. You understand? Sometimes, let me give you another example. Okay, some people get sad and depressed about things. You might lost a job, a relationship, a family member, something tragic just happened. And of course you're gonna go through that time of sadness, of being depressed, of feeling down, you know what I mean? You're gonna feel down about it, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna have your moment, maybe a day or so, where you kind of just lock to yourself, right? But you can't continue that, because you wonder why it's amplifying, and the thoughts and the feelings are occurring because you're by yourself in a negative atmosphere. You're not by yourself in a positive way where you're trying to get in tune with yourself. You're by yourself, locking yourself off in everything. So you're not having any sunlight, you're not getting enough water, you're not eating correctly, you're not around the right sociable people to get the right energy, you're not keeping yourself busy and achieving the right things that you want to do, so your goals start to slack. All these things start to happen. When you're going through something, you can't take away the things that you need that's vital to you, right? And you can't forget those things that helped you get through it when it was good. Reason you was feeling good when everything was good and you was working out, because you was working out, because you was doing these things. That's why you felt good also. So you got to keep doing those things to keep you pushing to feel right. Right? You're still going to feel the pain. You're still going to feel the stress. You're still going to have the issues, right? But you're going to use these tools now to help you get through that. All right, you're doing math, right? I don't know if they still use this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, right? That's what they would tell us to say when we're doing equations, to know which part of the equation to do first, right? And the parentheses and this and that and the third, multiplication or division, whatever the case is, right? Left and right. Sometimes people look at stuff and they go, man, let me see, how can I figure this out? How can I figure it out? Instead of going back to their head and saying, what equations do I already know that can go with this? What is the question asking? What is it needing? How can I solve it? What other equations that I already know that I can write down that can help me get to an answer? That's what those tools are doing. They're helping you to go through it, to solve your problem, to get to an answer. But you don't want to use it. You want to try to pull stuff out of the air. You heard what I almost said there, right? You almost pull stuff out of the air to figure it out instead of using the tools that you've already been given since birth that you could use. You keep on forgetting that you were born with everything that you need. And what you lack will be given to you. Right? It's like a relationship, right? What you don't have, the other person have. What they don't have, you have. Like a game, like a team member, right? Who's stronger on what so we can make this whole team work. But when you creating something, you're making something, right? A contractor is making a house. It's going to go through all these things and these processes and tests and making sure these pieces are here. So when they put that house out, it can be stable as needed to go through storms, hurricanes, flooding, not just fall apart once it happens. So you don't think you were made to go through some things and you're not going to fall apart? Yeah, you may get some scratches, some dents. You may need some maintenance, right? You may need some maintenance. That's why we should be taking our maintenance that we need, right? To repair ourselves, right? To learn, relearn and unlearn and relearn and learn again. But you were made with what you need in order for you to succeed. And you got to understand that. You got to understand that. It's in you. It's for you to find the people or things that can pull that natural power in you that you were born with out of you. That's where it comes from. And until you figure out how to pull those things out of you with what you already learned and experienced, right? Those are the tests. So this works like this. This doesn't work like that. I need to replace this with this. I need to replace this with that. But you sitting there questioning yourself. If I can do it. If I'm going to make it through it. Is this really going to happen? Because you don't see that you already have it in you. That you also have the experience and the knowledge of what you've been through and other things in life that you could use with this. Right? Everything in life you can use what you've been through to make you a stronger person. And to develop the powers that you already have in you to be stronger. You have to remember that the good times is going to come and the bad times are going to come. Those are relative to me, right? But things are going to happen in life that go up and down. But when they're up, you got to remember the tools and the things that you did when they were up. You got to use those same tools and things when you're down. Because you can get on yourself and start feeling worse about yourself for no reason. Because you feel hopeless and lost. And you have everything you need right inside of you and power in your head, in your body, in your experience, in your life to get through it. And to overcome it. And to conquer it. But no. It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Life is over. Someone save me. I used to scream that same thing all the time too. Yo, this is me. This is what it is. I ain't going to be no better than like they don't give a shit. Don't care about me. I'm going to be locked up. I'm going to be this and that and the third. I'm going to be dead. Whatever the case is, I'm a dope dealer. I'm a dope boy. Woo. I'm going to shoot her out. They're going to lock me up anyway. Yo, feeding myself garbage. Instead of saying the same things I said on what's good. I'm fresh. I'm fly. I'm that guy. I can get through anything. Ain't nothing going to stop me. Can't knock my hustle. I started using those things more and more, good or bad times, and using that in my head. And kept pushing myself up with that. Those thoughts. When I used to say when I was sitting on top of the world in the fresh Timbs and stuff like that, and maxed out in bottles and whatever, and chilling with the homies and stuff like that, and VI, and feeling like that, I'm like, yo, I started saying that even when I was down. When I was down, I was like, I'm fresh. I'm clean. I'm good. I'm really good. And I just kept on moving like that. And it kept on happening. I started enjoying where I am now, regardless of what it is. And we got to remember that. We got to take that in. We got to remember to use those good times that we have and the bad times that we have, which is relative. So please, take your time to think about that, to think about where you were and where you're going. You understand? And how you can use where you were and where you're going to continue your process of growth. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity. We're not waiting for opportunity, we create an opportunity.